You guys just you keep coming around. I just keep hearing about you guys.
And I might need to tell Ryan to cut that up a little bit and just put it in my audio for my phone.
First of all, I love the game. I had a passion to play the game, not only football, but I love the game of golf. And what it lends to a person and the friendships you develop on the golf course.
It's been a pleasure being on the drop. I wish you guys all the best down the road.
As someone like you have that golf itch like a lot of us do.
I keep track of you, and you are moving. You are on the move.
So listen, I'm a big New Jersey golf guy. You're very kind, Mike, and you too, Ryan. It's a pleasure to be on just a couple of Jersey boys here talking about something we love. All the best. I really enjoyed it.
This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? Welcome back to Interview Thursday. Mike and I here. We are very excited about today's guest. We got Greg Beringer, head golf professional at Hackensack. Mike, I said it on Tuesday's episode. I said it even in the interview. Greg is wiser above than his years are. I mean, for a guy like him, who's early 30s, he just presents himself as someone who is more mature, more older than he is. I think maybe he's got the baby face, which doesn't help the cause either for him, but none of those are bad things. He has had quite a career, and you're going to hear the interview for someone who didn't start his life as a golfer. He doesn't come from golf, doesn't play high school golf. Like he gets into this much later than everybody else. So really an impressive resume, impressive career. And it was a joy to have him on and see Hackensack and get to talk to him about all that stuff.
Yeah, not only is he sitting at one of the top seats at a hidden gem in New Jersey, and you and I have kind of echoed this, that it probably will no longer be a hidden gem as we move forward. I think the one thing that Greg opens up is the story that he tells about struggling with his driver. And I think we hear yips and we hear issues and we hear mental battles that people overcome and deal with. You've got to listen to the very end of this interview because he goes in depth about how he overcame a major struggle. Mm-hmm. It's a must listen.
100%. And it was something that you and I even talked about before, like, hey, maybe we should bring this up. Maybe we shouldn't. Like, it's not necessarily something that people always enjoy talking about, but Greg brought it up. He's like, oh, I wanted to talk about this. That was incredible. So it really goes into it and kind of those struggles. So yeah, without further ado, let's send you to that interview with Greg. Enjoy.
Think about your caddy on the course. Their job is to take decisions and stress off your shoulders so you can focus on the shot in front of you. For the Drop Podcast, that's where Thrive comes in, your trusted partner in technology outsourcing. Just like a great caddy, Thrive knows the course ahead. They lift the burden of IT off your shoulders so you can stay locked in on what matters most, running your business. The truth is, 1/3 of businesses will unknowingly hand over sensitive data to thieves this year. And when it happens, it's not just files at risk. It's your customers' trust, your bank accounts, even the very foundation of your company. The damage can be catastrophic, and you often won't realize it until the ransom demand is sitting in your inbox. That's why your business needs Thrive. At The Drop, we rely on their managed security services to proactively protect our network, monitor threats around the clock, and give us the confidence to focus on our work. Because when it comes to cybersecurity, it's not a matter of if, it's when. Get your no obligation security recommendations and consultation today at thrivenextgen.com/thedrop. That's thrivenextgen.com/thedrop. All right, so joining us today on the Drop Podcast is Greg Beringer, the head golf professional at Hackensack Golf Club, a historic Charles Banks design here in North Jersey. Greg, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited for this, Greg. We got a special day planned.
Yeah, this is going to be a really, really good one. But before we get into the golf course and everything that kind of makes up the history of this place, educate the audience a little bit about you, how you got into this game, what kind of led you to make this game a career. Tell us about your journey.
Sure. So I grew up in Orlando, Florida. I'm a Florida boy. And, I think similar to a lot of kids. Is that different than a Florida man? That is, actually. It's funny. So, yeah, I mean, growing up in Florida, obviously, you got good weather all year long. I was playing all sorts of sports as a kid. like a lot of kids do. And I was primarily a baseball and basketball player. Played baseball in high school and, just played golf here and there as a kid. My dad and I would go out for birthdays, Father's Day, that sort of thing. But beyond that, I really wasn't doing a ton with golf. Did a couple camps and some summers, but for the most part, I was just playing baseball, and that was kind of my first passion. Derek Jeter was my idol. I thought I was going to be the next Derek Jeter, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of through high school. And then toward the latter part of high school, I was just getting burnt out on being around baseball, and just kind of said, hey, you know what, I want to start playing golf. And I wasn't, very good at that time, obviously. And I tried out my junior year of high school, didn't make it. Senior year was probably good enough, didn't make it. So never played high school golf, which is kind of an interesting backstory that you probably don't hear.
Yeah, I don't know.
Run into someone like that.
Yeah,
that's wild.
But coincidentally, out of high school, didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I went to Valencia College in Orlando for 2 years before going to Florida State. And it was kind of those 2 years where right out of high school, I got a job at my home course, started playing and practicing a ton. If I wasn't in class or studying or working, I was on the range, I was playing. And really just kind of took off those 2 years. And it was funny because, this was my home course, right? So I had just tried out for the golf team the last 2 years. Fast forward a year after high school, and I'm like, it's a small operation. I'm out giving lessons at 19 years old. I had no business giving lessons, right? I would give all those people their money back because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And so here I am, 19 years old, teaching a little bit, and really just was fortunate to be at a small club with not a big staff and really get to just see a lot of different things and do a lot of different things at a young age. And I think that exposure was really, really important for me, and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And I found out about Florida State's golf management program at the time, went there, and just through the internship process, I did my first internship at Wildcat Cliffs Country Club, a small club in the mountains of North Carolina, through a connection I had there. And then for my second internship, I went up to Oak Hill in Rochester, New York, to work for Jason Ballard. And long story short, spent 9 years up there at Oak Hill, worked my way up to be the lead assistant the last 3 years I was there. Did North-South for a few years, spent some time in Florida for about 5 years, going to a few different clubs there. So really just kind of, I've been fortunate. I've had a lot of great mentors along the road, and I've never had any other career. This is kind of what I realized early on I always wanted to do. And for me, it's just the hospitality side of it, getting to make an impact on somebody's day every day. That's what drew me to this. I knew I never wanted to have a desk job. My least favorite days are the days where I'm stuck at my desk all day long, right? So for me, it was just being out every day, being a little bit different, being around the game, being around people that love the game. And that's what really, has drawn me to it. So.
I'm still blown away that he didn't play golf in high school.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't go from Florida to New Jersey. Most people go from New Jersey to Florida. But
Florida to Western New York.
Yeah,
I was going to say, don't forget Rochester.
Yeah, even
so after Oak Hill, is that when you decide? That's when you got this job here?
Correct. So I became the lead assistant at Oak Hill in 2020. By about late 2022, it was kind of time to start looking for head pro jobs. Went for a few different things. Just didn't find the right fit. And I guess it would have been the summer of 23. This opportunity came up here and, got the job in November of 23 and then started here in February of last year. So this is my second season.
And I'm just going to ask it. How old are you?
32.
Okay, because you look younger.
Yeah, I get that.
That's a good thing.
I get that a lot.
That's a good thing,
That's
for sure.
a good thing, yeah.
Because I was picturing you like late 20s, and I was like, so this guy's had 9 years at Oak Hill.
Yeah.
He's already a head pro here, and you look like you're 27.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So
I think my guess would have been 28, but listen, that's a good thing.
No, that's a rocket ship. There is what that is. Like honestly, right place, right time. Oak Hill's a fantastic
absolutely.
place.
I mean, like I said, for me, I look at the golf industry and working on the club side of things and the hospitality side of things, so much of it really is who you know. You can be good at what you do, but if you don't align yourself with the right people or the right mentors, you're only going to get so far. That's how I've always kind of looked at it. And working for Jason up at Oak Hill, a top 5 golf professional in the country, in my opinion. by far. So yeah, it's just really fortunate to just be around a lot of great people and learn things a certain way. And it just, when the opportunity came, I felt ready and feel super fortunate to be here. It's a special place.
And not to denigrate Jason, but also, having Oak Hill on your resume looks pretty good.
Yeah, that helps. That helps for sure. And it was great timing for me too. We had just come off the 23 PGA Championship up there when kind of this opportunity came up. So it was just a really exciting time, a really crazy year for me. I mean, a lot going on obviously that year. And but yeah, it was fun. It was a fun place to be and great memories there, great people.
Awesome.
Do you know who we interviewed before that championship happened at Oak Hill? Do you know who we interviewed?
I recall, wasn't it? It was a nobody, right?
Yeah, good old Jim Nance. We had Jim Nance on right before.
Yeah, nobody.
Sorry,
my voice isn't as good as Jim Nance.
Yeah, listen, neither is ours, so we understand that.
You haven't said hello, friends yet.
Yeah, that's true.
What was the lure of someone like you? You're at a prestigious spot like Oak Hill. It's got the name recognition, especially from a national standpoint. You see Hackensack, and you can start to dive into the history of this place. And obviously the golf course speaks for itself. But when you're looking to further your career, what was the draw here for you to say, you know what, I want this job and I want it bad?
Yeah, it was interesting when I first heard about the opportunity and started looking into it. The culture here and just my research and some people I talked to and some connections I had in the area and into the club, and everybody I talked to just talked about what a special place it is to work. For me, I looked at this. I learned early in the process that there's only been 3 head pros here since World War II.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So Charles
1945.
So Charles Mayo from 1943 to 1957, Tom Hawthorne from 1957 to 1994, and then my predecessor Mike Desick from 1995 up until last year. So when I heard that, early on in the process, I was like, okay, this is a special place, right? And it was funny when I started talking to all the other leadership, team members. I think I'm the only guy that hasn't been here 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that kind of place where, like, it's a little intimidating coming in. And, like, our GM's been here 25 years. Our chef's been here 12 years. Our membership director's been here 20 plus years. Our starter with us in golf ops has been here 37 years. It's just, it's that kind of place. And so for me, going through the process, just seeing just some photos online of the golf course before I even came here, I was like, wow, this place looks unbelievable. So really it was just the people, the golf course, the area, just being in an area with so much golf around here. And I hadn't spent a ton of time in northern New Jersey. I don't think I had been in New York City since I was a kid. I've got some family in the city now on my wife's side, and some family down here in the Philadelphia area, but really didn't have a ton of ties to this area. But yeah, just, and once I came here and saw it in person for the first time, I was like, wow, this is a special place. And the first time I ever saw the golf course was, I think, early November. And keep in mind, I'm coming from Western New York, right? And I'm not used to seeing a golf course look like that in November, right? It's usually like season's done and you're packing up, right? And so we're looking at the golf course. I'm just like, this is what this place looks like in November. I mean, this is a special place. So just fell in love with the golf course and everything that I felt like was the culture of the club, from the people side of things, the membership, the leadership. 2 years in has been spot on. So it's been special. It's awesome.
So how much of the process that you're going through there, when you look at the golf course, how much does that weigh in on a decision to become a head pro here? It's like, that's a golf course I want to work at, or do you is it 5%? Is it 50%? Whereas you're looking at like all the other stuff that's around here.
Yeah, it's certainly important. I mean, for me, I feel like in the last few years, I've really tried to find a good balance of just, really enjoying life, right? Obviously in this industry, we work a lot of hours, right? Mm-hmm. I talk with our team all the time about, we spend more time together than I do with my wife. So we better enjoy, coming here and working together and having fun. And obviously we have a job to do, but we want to have fun while we do that. And, so for me, the golf course side of it is obviously super important, but I was really looking, especially coming from a place like Oak Hill where everybody knows the golf course, but what people probably don't know about Oak Hill is that's an awesome membership to work for. And that kind of gets overshadowed a little bit. And so I was looking for a similar setup where fantastic golf course. But more importantly to me was just the setting of the membership and the opportunity to grow. And I wanted to obviously come in and look at this as an opportunity on the professional side of things where, like, hey, we can take this place to another level. And that's something that's always driven me is like, I don't want to go somewhere and look at it and go, well, everything's perfect. I don't see anything that could be better. Good. Like that's not the right fit for me, right? Like I want to come in and go, okay, well, what if we did this a little bit differently, and what if we did this? So, I just saw a lot of opportunity long term for the club, and I felt like this opportunity for me was just the right time, right place. One thing I learned early on when I started going for head pro jobs is like, you got to just be yourself, and if it's the right fit, it's the right fit. And I think that's sometimes where maybe people can go wrong when they get in the room, right? As you start trying to think about what's the club exactly looking for. And I just went into this one and said, I'm going to be me. And if it's the right fit, it's the right fit. And I think so far it has been. And we got a lot of exciting things going on at the club right now. We just opened up a brand new golf shop renovation. We're expanding the men's locker room a little bit. We opened up a new balcony area above the golf shop. So, and we got some other things in the pipeline. So it's just a really exciting time here at the club and super excited for the future.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Like stability seems like it's important to a place like this. And as a guy looking to establish himself in a new spot, knowing that you have the support of a membership like that's willing to say, hey, listen, we've only had 3 people and they've been here a long time and we've kind of, given them the reins to do their job, definitely makes it way more intriguing than other spots in terms of being a micromanager over, being a shadow, you being able to do your job. I can totally see why the lure of this place, let alone the golf course speaking for itself, being a huge positive in that aspect.
Yeah, and I got to give the membership credit for that. I mean, the culture here is very unique in terms of how they treat the staff. I mean, I think a lot of places say like, oh, our staff is family, and that's a common thing that I think gets thrown around, but the membership here really embraces that, and that's been evident really since day one for me. And I think it makes it just a place that people love to get up and go to work.
Sugarloaf Social Club has been a brand favorite of ours for quite some time. Here's what we love about Sugarloaf Social Club. They're a Virginia brand that actually gets New Jersey golf. They built this whole hidden gem map highlighting underrated courses across the country, and Jersey is all over it. They're shining a light on the tracks we've been playing and loving for years. Everything they make is just cool, quality, and genuinely fun to wear. They've got you covered head to toe, literally from hats down to socks. And they're more than just an apparel brand. Think head covers, grips, and pretty much anything else you need on the course. Their fall collection, which dropped last Sunday, brings rich seasonal colors and classic patterns that transition seamlessly from the course to everyday life. They've built a real community around the brand. When you wear SSC, you're repping a vibe, not just a logo. So here's the deal. SSC almost never discounts their stuff, like hardly ever. And yes, some stuff is probably sold out, but they're letting us give you 20% off your first order made this week. Just use code THEDROP at checkout. Exclusions do apply. Sugarloaf Social Club is the brand for us golf sickos. One of the highlights of the 2025 golf season was the first ever New Jersey Heroes Tour operated by the New Jersey Golf Foundation, the charitable arm of the New Jersey PGA section. With more than 140 members, the Heroes Tour delivered a fun and competitive tournament schedule for military veterans, active duty military personnel, and first responders, including law enforcement, EMTs, and firefighters. Proceeds from the Heroes Tour go directly to support PGA Hope, helping our patriots everywhere. PGA Hope is a weekly rehabilitative program for veterans that is changing and saving the lives of Americans' heroes in New Jersey and nationwide. Led by New Jersey PGA professionals, PGA Hope is currently offered in 15 counties across the state, while positively impacting more than 500 veterans annually. To support the New Jersey Golf Foundation, please visit njgolffoundation.org or call 732-465-1212. That's njgolffoundation.org or 732-465-1212. And the golf course. I mean, listen, this place has been a highly spoken about place on our radar for quite some time. And I know recently Christian Cavallari's been on, and he listed one of his best spots, favorite spots to play in New Jersey if he had to drop what he's doing. Charles Banks Golf Course. It's got all the template holes that you can think about. You know, you and I talked about in the pre-show. Tell us about what makes this place so special.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I mean, I'm going to take it back a step and just talk too about how when you drive in, if you haven't been to Hackensack Golf Club before, first off, it's not in Hackensack, so don't go to Hackensack.
I did that trying on the GPS.
Well, I got to share.
Hackensack Golf Club, right? Yeah, that's the right place.
Yeah,
it's the wrong town, but okay.
Mike, I'll come back to your question, but I got to share a quick story on that real fast. So, and by the way, my wife and I live in Hackensack, and no, we didn't think the club was in Hackensack. But so Mike Dezick, my predecessor before me, he was working as an assistant in Plainfield from 1984 to 1994, and opportunity came up here to be an assistant in 1995, or I'm sorry, in 1984 was when he started as an assistant here. So 1984, he's working at Plainfield. He's coming here for an assistant's interview. And he starts driving around Hackensack, New Jersey, going, where the heck is this place? Mm-hmm. And, you know, someone on the street's like, oh, you got to go like 5 miles north to Oradell because you're not even close. And anyway, made the interview, started working for Tom Hawthorne and took over once Tom retired. Yeah, I love that story. I love to hear that story from Mike. Yeah. But
he just opened up Google Maps.
Yeah, 1984. That's no problem. So that's probably the first thing, right? Is a lot of people don't realize that we're actually here in Oradell, Emerson, a little bit north. But you know, when you come in that driveway off Soldier Hill Road, you don't really know what to expect. You can't really see much. You know, when I came here for my first in-person interview, it was literally in and out in an hour, and never got behind the clubhouse and saw the backside of the clubhouse here. And when you get behind the clubhouse and you see the property and you just see kind of the vista that you're on, you kind of look to the west and you know, we can kind of see it out our ballroom right here. You know, just the landscape, you don't even realize how high up you are here, which is one of the things that really struck me when I came here for the first time. But then you get into the golf course, right? You get to hole 3, our Biarritz, you get to 5, our Principal's Nose, you get to 6, our short, 12, our Redan, which we say is the toughest par 4 in Bergen County, as a par 3. It's a hard hole, and you guys will see today. You know, and then 16, our punch bowl, right? So just like you said, we have those template holes, and obviously there's been some modifications over the years. You know, when Banks laid it all out in the late 1920s, the original property here, when the club moved to Oradell, was a 9-hole course. And Banks had these blueprints for the golf course. And like I said, they've been tweaked over the years. And in the mid-2000s, the club actually found the original blueprints. They had gone missing over the years. And mid-2000s, the club found the blueprints. And you know, kind of piece by piece over the next 15, 20 years, the club's been working hard to kind of put it back to the original Banks. And Reese Jones and Steve Weisner came in and helped with that. And I got to give a ton of credit to our superintendent, Rich Lane, who's been here forever. And, you know, a lot of the work he did himself. And, you know, it was a pretty incredible process. I've seen some photos from that process. But bottom line, for the last 15 years, we've been trying as a club to get it, you know, back to the original Banks. And, yeah, I think you guys are going to see it's pretty special.
We see a lot of courses that are doing that now.
Yeah.
That are trying to get back to, like, they had a golden age architect.
Sure.
And at some point in the 50s, 60s, 70s, it seemed like golf made a change to be different, right? And now it seems like we're reverting back to trying to bring back that historical. This is not the first, it certainly won't be the last that we're seeing.
And I feel like that's how it goes, right? You have the original golf courses, then you add a bunch of trees, You make some changes. Now everyone's trying to kind of take out some trees, right? And we're part of that too, right? You know, I've seen some photos from even just 15 years ago, and it's amazing how different the golf course looked. So yeah, if you have not been out here, it's a treat. It's a special place.
So I'm a history guy. Like, where were these plans? Are they just in a basement and someone's cleaning them out? Were they behind like a mirror that you just?
Yeah, they were. I believe, I'm not positive, but I believe they were just in a box in storage. You know, just kind of your classic cleaning out your attic sort of story, right? Yeah. So, and you'll see them. We have them in the clubhouse. They're posted up and framed now. And yeah, it's a cool little piece of it. But
Very cool.
As far as the golf course goes, it's the kind of golf course where I don't feel like you have to drive it super well. You don't have to be super accurate off the tee. It's definitely
loves that.
Music to your ears.
But yeah, it's really the approach shots. When you get around the greens, I mean, some of these green complexes are really interesting. And that's probably the thing that has stood out to me the most since I got here was just, you can come out here and hit a lot of greens and be in a lot of bad spots, right? There's some very interesting little details to our greens out here. But it's really
like that.
I know. I heard that, and it just like makes me cringe. You can hit the ball straight, you can hit on the greens, and the greens forget about it.
Yeah. So that's the part of it that I think is probably the most interesting is you can have a really good ball striking day, tee to green, and maybe not get a lot out of it. So it just depends. And you can have days where you're missing fairways, and if you're hitting your irons well, you can score. So. It just kind of depends, but obviously like a lot of banks courses, you got to avoid the bunkers. You can definitely short side yourself in some really bad spots, and you can kiss par goodbye. You're just trying to make a bogey. So it just depends, but it's a very fair, fun test. It's the kind of golf course you can play every day and not get tired of it.
Favorite hole and why?
Favorite hole for me has got to be 12. As someone that hadn't played a ton of Rayner, Banks, McDonald, over the years, really just kind of my first exposure to that. 12 is our staple. It's our signature. The tee shot, no matter where that pin is, as you guys know with Redan holes, you kind of got a spot where you're trying to land it. So you got to kind of put the flag out of it and just hit that front part of the green. And, you'll see it when we have our shootout for our men's invitational and it's on 12, there can be some carnage there. It's firm, it's fast. Like I said, we call it the hardest par 4 in Bergen County because it is you got to hit a really good tee shot, and even if you do, it's no gimme. But I just think it's so fun because it's you can't miss right. You're in jail. You got no shot. And there's certain times where, like, depending on where the pin is, it's better to just be short of the green and not even be on the green putting somewhere. It just depends. So. It's just really intricate, really interesting. But that's the one I think most people talk about. And for me, it's, that was my first real, like, wow, look at that bunker. When we were riding around the golf course, looking at it back in November of 23.
So if that hole's got the gravitas, right? Everyone talks about that hole. You mean underrated hole?
I think 5. 5's our principal's nose. Tee shot, you're typically not hitting driver. You're kind of laying it short of that principal's nose, but that green complex to me is just so interesting. You got a top shelf in the back. You got a little shelf front left that if you go long of that, you're dead. And then everything else kind of just feeds to that front right. But it's probably one of our largest greens and just a really unique complex there. The tee shot, like I said, is pretty straightforward. You're not typically hitting driver. You're just trying to get something out there, maybe 220, 230. Which will leave you about 150-yard shot in. But you got to hit 2 good shots there. If you miss it left off the tee, you're pretty much blocked out. And obviously, if you're playing more aggressive, you got the principal's nose there and some fescue. And I think that's one that maybe flies a little under the radar. I think it's just a really fun hole. You can make birdie, if you hit 2 good shots, but you could also make bogey or worse. So, that's a fun one for me.
Hopefully not worse.
Yeah, we don't like the X's on the scorecard.
I do want to ask, going back to, we've mentioned Banks a few times, right? And pre-show you were talking that. Explain the Rayner Banks situation here.
Yeah, so Rayner passed just before this project started, and so a lot of people connect Rayner to the golf course, but it was all Banks. And it was really his first, what I would call big one when you look at his history and his lineup. It was all Banks. It was all Banks from the start, his blueprints, and his team.
Okay.
And then, so, like, as you kind of like look ahead, you're being a young guy, you're starting to, really grasp the whole thing, the membership, the golf course, the outside ops. What kind of excites you about the future of this place? What is that one thing that, you're like, what, in, 6, 10, 12 months, 2 years, like, this place is going to just pop even more so? Because I think when you're talking about, the top 25 list that Golf Digest puts out. Everybody's constantly trying to find ways to climb that ladder. You guys being inside that list now is one of those ones that kind of has like the upward angle, like the upward line. You're going up and you're going to constantly climb that. What excites you most about the future here?
Yeah, I think for me, I think about that phrase hidden gem a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that gets, said a lot, especially about the golf course here. And there's a part of me that just like, I don't even like that phrase, right? Because it feels like it's so much better than that. So for me, when I think about the future and where the golf course is now compared to where it's been maybe in the last 15, 20 years, if you haven't been out here, I think you got to see it. And I look at it as, how do we get out of kind of that hidden gem and just like, no, like Hackensack is one of the top ones. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where my mind is at, is just, it is a little bit hidden, right? It's a little off the beaten path. It's not one that you're just driving down the parkway and you see right there and go, oh, there's Hackensack.
It's not in Hackensack.
And it's not in Hackensack. So don't take that exit. Otherwise you'll be at my apartment. So, so for me, it's like, how do we keep elevating it? How do we keep pushing forward and kind of get out of that hidden gem? And look, hidden gem is a compliment. Don't get me wrong. That's a compliment when someone says that, but I just see the golf course as good as anybody. And I want it to, to be out there that way. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of see over the next, 5-10 years where this kind of goes for the club.
Yeah. You don't want it to be hidden anymore. It's a
no, I mean, there's an element of that, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a private club at the end of the day, and there's people that have differing opinions on that for sure. Mm-hmm. But I want, when people talk about Hackensack, to just say, yeah, that's one of the best spots in New Jersey, and that be it, So, that's the way I'm looking at it. But like I said, we got, from a club perspective, it's a really exciting time with the project that we just finished up and some other things coming down the road. So, probably the biggest thing that's working against us is just the real estate, right? It's just, it's such a compact area. And our practice area is a little confined, right? So there's a few of those little things, but so I think long term there's some projects in the pipeline, and I'm just excited to keep seeing the golf course get better. And like I said, I want to give credit again to Rich Lane and his team, our superintendent, because what he can do out here and what he's done with the golf course, he's been here 30 plus years, is pretty incredible. So he's kind of seen it all, and he's the guy I rely on when it comes to that sort of stuff. So
I got one final one here for you on my end. You've obviously now been acclimated to a lot of New Jersey golf. And one of the questions I like to ask guys that sit in your seat is, if you got invited to go play one golf course in New Jersey, you can't count Hackensack and you can't count Pine Valley, okay? Because the opportunities to play Pine Valley are slim to none. What's that one spot in New Jersey that you've come across that you're like, you know what? I got to drop what I'm doing. I got invited. I'm going to go play.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably not the most exciting answer, but it's probably the answer is Baltusrol. For all the history there and everything they do, and we have a few members here that play in their invitational that I've talked to a little bit, and I think it's got to be Baltusrol. I've been fortunate. I mean, I feel like first and second year head pros don't typically play a ton of golf, but I've been fortunate to get around to a few places over the last 18 months or whatever it's been. Been to Plainfield, been to Hollywood, been to Liberty National. So I've been fortunate to get to a few really good ones. But yeah, it's definitely on my list as I kind of look at the next couple of years, as I really want to, make sure I'm making a little bit of time to get out and play these places. And obviously Baltusrol would be top for me.
Upper or lower?
Probably lower.
Have you played both?
No, I haven't played either.
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't played either.
There you go.
Before or new. Yeah.
There you go.
What's your game like?
So
you said you haven't played much, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's funny. There's something that I was thinking about getting ready for this interview that I want to share with the audience, because I think it's important that people realize that, golf pros are human too when it comes to golf. Like I said, never played high school golf and played on the club team at Florida State, which was good to get some competition. And I've always looked at myself as like, yeah, I'm, definitely not the best player showing up for a tournament. But I've always had that confidence that I can just show up and compete. I think I have that competitive side of me, and sometimes I call that false confidence, right? You got to just, even if you're you could have the worst range session of your life. You got to play what you got, and you got to figure it out. And so I've always just had that confidence that I could show up and compete. And over the last couple of years, I started dealing with some stuff on the mental side that's just terrifying, frankly. And it happens to everybody, whether you're on tour or whether you're, a 30 handicap who's just getting going with the game and figuring it out. And, it's been a long journey for me the last couple of years with just some of the stuff I was dealing with on the mental side. And bottom line, my golf swing, I've always had a little bit of a pause in there, Matsuyama, Cameron Young, whatever you want to call it, right? Mm-hmm. It's nothing I ever tried to do. It kind of, developed over time as I started playing. And whenever I've messed with trying to get it out of there, it's just like I have no idea how to time it. Like it just doesn't work. So the pause has to be there. And bottom line, over the last couple of years, it had gotten to the point where just like I would get up there, and especially with the longer clubs, I wouldn't be able to pull the trigger. Wow. I would just get stuck up there and literally couldn't pull trigger on driver or 3-wood, some of those longer clubs. No issue with wedges, but just those longer clubs couldn't do it. And, it's interesting for me, like, until I started just understanding that, like, hey, this is okay. This stuff happens. I have no idea why it's happening. I don't know what caused it. It's nothing in my actual golf swing. It's literally just between the ears. And when I started to just talk about it and look for help and talk to different people and really just embrace the fact that, like, okay, we don't know why this is happening, but let's get through it. The road got easier, and it's been fun, putting in a lot of work to just figure it out, talking to a lot of different people. I've had a lot of people help me throughout the process. And, look, the guy that was unable to pull the trigger a year or two ago played in our section championship this year and had a couple rounds under par, so it's been a fun journey to just find myself again a little bit and really enjoy the game again. It's when you're dealing with that sort of stuff, it's just no fun. You don't know why it's happening and what's the right path to fix it. And so if anyone out there listening is dealing with that sort of stuff, look, it happens to everybody. And the advice I would give you is you got to kind of just figure out how to shut your mind off. That fear is what's taking over, and you got to just figure out how to kind of see yourself differently. And for me, the key to my side of getting out of it was just seeing myself more through my practice swing. I never have rehearsed a pause in my practice swing. I've never paused in my practice swing. It's just practice swing. Okay, now go. Mm-hmm. So, you got to just kind of figure out what's that thing that's going to help you get through it. But so for me as a golfer, it's been a really strange couple of years.
A journey.
It's just something that happened and got worse over time and couldn't tell you why. But, happy to say that it's well and gone behind me. And, I think if it ever crept back, I know how to combat it. So, but yeah, I'm excited to play with you guys today. It's going to be fun out there, and, we'll see if we can make some birdies.
Really am. I appreciate you sharing that, because that is something that goes under talked about, and mental health in general isn't talked about enough, but that's one that's like the sports psychology side of it can be very interesting and can be very lonely if you're going through it alone. So
and and it's funny too. I feel like there's an element of it that has helped me become a little bit of a better teacher, and I feel like I'm a better golf pro because of it. I'll tell you a quick story. I mean, I had a lesson with one of our members earlier this summer. He was a good player, single-digit handicap, and came to me with some putting struggles. And we spent an hour, and there was not one thing said about his technical stroke. It was literally an hour-long mental lesson, and just talking about different things of what to do on the green and how to just approach it mentally. And I don't think I would have ever really taken it to that level if I hadn't been through that.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. It was an hour just on the mental side of the game. And I felt like Bob Rotella, like it was weird how it just kind of morphed into that. But a couple weeks later, we had our annual putting contest, and he won the putting contest, and it was just, I was super pumped for him, because like, it's cool to just be able to feel like that experience has just given me maybe another layer of being able to relate, because I think a lot of people deal with that and they're not always talking about it, but there's that mental side of the game that I think is the biggest challenge, before you even start swinging. So, it's been fun, just going on that journey and kind of, like I said, learning a little bit about myself and feeling like I'm a better pro because of it. So, yeah.
Very cool. A pro and probably a better person coming out the other side.
Yeah, it's funny. My I got to give a shout out to my wife because she had to listen through all of it, right? You know, when you're a golf pro and the thing you do for a living suddenly becomes really, really hard, it's tough. You know, there was a lot of different emotions throughout the process, and she just kept reminding me, like, hey, you play this game because it's fun. You know, that's why you started playing. That's why you're still doing what you're doing. It's fun. So have fun. And it's such a simple lesson, but it's the truth. You got to just have fun and enjoy it. And at the end of the day, no one really cares what you shoot. Just have fun being out there. So.
Yeah. You should probably shout out the wife for multiple reasons.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have waited till the very end of the interview, but yeah.
That's great. But listen, I can't thank you enough for sitting down with us, giving us some time, and you know, we're beyond excited to get out here and see the golf course. So
yeah, it's great to have you guys. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Appreciate it.